Welcome back. Better Than a Let's Play, episode 8. I'm Enigmus. And today we're mostly building. We're mostly adding on to the towers, but I just wanted to make sure that we didn't lose sight of the medium-term goal here, which is to get our storage system into place. I'm sort of in a spot now where I'll go to the nether and I'll gather up a bunch of nether quartz. And then I convert it all to dust, and then I make the fluix dust for the applied energistics components. And then I think, hey, I'm in pretty good shape here. Maybe we'll get something done. And then I'll make a bunch of cables or a machine or something, and I'll go and place them, and I'll be like, oh, I'm out. I need to go get more nether quartz. So there's definitely forward progress being made, but it's just that kind of progress we get so often where it's not visible progress. It's all stuff in chests, or it's a cable along the wall that looks pretty simple and trivial on its own, but it just took that half stack of nether quartz you just brought back, and it's gone now. So that's kind of what I've been doing in the background, is gathering nether quartz, and then making things, and then gathering more quartz and making more things. Eventually, someday, I will have something to show you that looks like a storage system. It's just not today. Probably in an episode or two we'll have something. I've got some components in place now. I've got my deep storage units starting to see their first tastes of what they're going to be storing from now till the end of time. What I really wanted to show you today was this detail that I came up with for the towers. You remember in the past episode we were talking about microblocks and using microblocks to anti-alias things. Basically making them look more refined and smoother, you could say, than just the straight up voxel cubes that basically are Minecraft. So what I did was, rather than having that white detailing down the sides of that central large tower, I pulled all those covers off and I switched them up for stone microblocks. I'm using slabs, which are half a block, panels, which are a quarter of a block, and covers, which are an eighth of a block. And I'm also using columns, which are a half a slab in the corners. So nothing particularly complicated, but basically what we're doing is making the corners every other block up and down the lengths of the tower, or the height of the tower, I guess you could say, sort of flare out a little bit in a way that's very, very subtle. Because I'm using the same material as the rest of the towers, if you look at it from a distance, it's really hard to tell that there's even any kind of detailing there, because the only way to see the detailing is to see the shadows on the edges of the block. You can see as we're moving down here, you can see the shadows on the bottoms of the slabs, but if you look up higher, the top corners of the slab are basically invisible against the towers, which is kind of neat. It's basically, I was wanting subtle. That was the goal, is a subtle detail that was able to have an impact on the visual appeal of the towers without dominating it, which would have been the case. I thought about using quarried stone or abyssal stone for a color contrast, and then I decided to go with just the regular stone to try and keep things as subtle as I could. And you can see we're starting to get sort of an idea of how it's going to look in the long term, and it doesn't really take all that long. Now, compared to my previous idea of using microblocks to take those white wool covers and make them curve more elegantly than the normal full-size voxel style, this is using far fewer microblocks. So that's why I decided to take the chance and hope that it's not going to cause performance issues down the line, because my previous experience, not talking about Forge Multipart here, but previous experience with microblocks, is that I generally don't see a lot of frame rate slowdown when lots of microblocks are in play. It's more, things tend to flicker in and out, so you'll be looking at the tower and then you'll shift your view to the left by a fair amount and blocks will just disappear, and then you look some other direction and they'll reappear, and then you look down and back up and they're gone again. So that's the kind of thing that really undermines the visual appeal of the whole situation, when instead of looking at this neat tower, all of a sudden you're looking at this thing that's very obviously a glitchy sort of game display issue, and I didn't want that. So you can see now, as we wrap it around the three corners of the smaller tower here, we put the little columns in place to smooth over the edges. Again, you can see the tops of each of these details, they blend in with the background, but the bottoms, you can see the shadow on the edge. So it gives that sort of visual detail without being overly aggressive. And now this is the kind of thing where once you've seen it sort of go into place, you've seen it. And I just have to finish the tower. But one of the things that I realized as I was doing this is it was probably time to start getting the windows into place first, because I can put a torch under the window on the inside and the light, as you can see, spills out so that I can continue building at night and it's not really hard to see. But also because these little edge details are extending over where the windows would go. So if I put the windows in now, it's fewer blocks that I'm placing and then pulling down later by putting the details on, and then having to pull off part of the micro blocks later on when the window goes in underneath. So we're getting windows in, we're getting details on, we're making progress, and I'm pretty happy with the progress. But one of the key things that I'm noticing right now is that a lot of the progress, like I say, is the invisible type. So I'm trying to focus on things that are visual, that I can show you, that are interesting, without completely screwing myself over and not getting done the priority projects that I need to get done, like the storage. So I'm not going to be doing a time-lapse or any kind of full scope video coverage of the rest of the corners going on the structure, because now that you've seen it here, it's just gonna be the same thing. We'll take a look at it when it's done. We'll do a spin around of the whole structure once all of the corners are on. But as far as the actual addition of those, it'll just be something that happens behind the scenes. So now we'll take a look at it. We can kind of spin around and see, this is the front of the tower, this is where the door is to enter the large tower, and we come around and you can see it's all smooth and still missing a lot of windows. But as we come around to the back side where the water is and where the two small towers are the most prominent, we'll be able to see the difference. So we've got this smooth, almost pure, kind of very basic tower design, and then on the other side we see this slightly more aggressive sort of design. It's got a lot more character without, again, being super ostentatious, like black or white or anything like that that's just going to stand out and take over what your eye is seeing. It's all about the shadows and all about the elements that are very visible without being directly in your face. So I'm really happy with the way this is turning out, and it's definitely one of those little projects that I can take on in the future when I need to plan something or whatever. I can just grab a bunch of stacks of stone and a saw and come out and continue working on that. So the towers are definitely looking a lot better. The storage system is well underway. I'll let you finish watching this guy spin around. This has been episode 8, Better Than a Let's Play. I'm still Enigmius. Subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to subscribe but you still want to know when I add a new video, you can follow me on the Twitters at Enigmius1. You'll get an update by tweet when I add a new video. Please leave your comments and feedback in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.